There's fairly easy wood to baton through. Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here. I'm just here at my little deer camp bug out shelter where I get to play with knives and stuff like that. I actually did a winter camp, or tried to do a winter camping video not too long ago, but my camera shot shit. So if you guys notice the picture and stuff looks a little different, it's because I had to get me a new camera. But today I'm going to be doing a review on the LT Wright Forest Trail with a Scandi grind. This is a little different knife than some of them that LT Wright is known to make. Usually most of their knives are kind of more of a little 1/8 inch thick, kind of real thin bushcrafty type of knife. And this, however, I think, well, I'm just going to say, I think this is one of my favorite LT Wrights, to be honest. It's a 5/32. It's a little thicker, heavier duty blade, and it's kind of made to be more of like a hunting knife, is kind of from my understanding. But I think it can be an excellent bushcraft knife if need be, but I think this is the most capable LT Wright knife that they make. So with all that being said, let's start thrashing on this blade here. Alright, so I'm just going to, before I really start testing this knife out, I'm going to go over some of the specifications on this knife. It's a 5-inch blade. It's made of A2 tool steel, which is one of my favorite steels. It's 5/32 thick. It's a drop point design, obviously made by LT Wright. Look at the ergonomics on that blade, or the handle. But this one here in particular is a saber grind. However, they do have a full flat grind, and they also have Scandi grinds, but saber or full flat grind are my more preferred type of grinds on a knife. They got all kinds of different handle materials. This knife, it's obviously made in America or United States. The Rockwell hardness is between 57 and 59. It comes with a leather sheath. The sheath just comes as a typical pouch type of sheath. I like to wet form my leather sheaths, which I've done a video on that. I can post a link, and I just put cross of our Lord Savior on there. I just etched that in myself. But alright, something I'm going to test out with this knife real quick is I'm going to do a quick little tin chop test with this thing. And I know it's obviously not a chopping knife. It's a small camp knife was designed for. However, it's sometimes kind of nice to just kind of get a feel for things. And the way this handle is here, and with this thicker 5/32, with this thicker stock with 5/32, and I think it's going to actually lend itself to not being too bad of a light little chopper if need be. So I'm just going to test this out. This is hardwood. I'm pretty sure it's hickory. I'm going to do a few more just to kind of get a feel for it. Not too terrible. I mean, I wouldn't want to have to chop through a 2-inch tree or something with it, but if you had to do just a little bit of light chopping, like delimbing or something, it'll do the job. Alright, so here I have something a little bigger here. I'm going to just do some delimbing here just to kind of get a feel for it. Like I said, I've had this knife for a little while. I'm just now kind of getting around to the review on it. I got so many blades that I need to actually get some reviews done. Now, I don't pump these reviews out as quickly as some people do, because I don't really like doing just, that's a little thicker piece, but with this little thicker blade here, this thing could actually do some light chopping. And Went right through that piece right there. As you guys can see, the LT Wright forest trail can actually do some light chopping and delimbing and stuff, and that's why I think this LT Wright actually has an advantage over most of the other LT Wright. Alright, so this knife, I'm not going to do any ridiculous abusive testing because it's not really made for that, but I'm going to do just a little bit. But this is a $230 to up to $300 knife, kind of depending on what options this is. This is kind of more of a basic one. But something I want to try here is I'm just going to do just some light tip testing here, just to kind of test out the A2 tool steel, and just a little bit. Do some light prying here. Nothing too ridiculous. Okay, as you can see, that tip is still perfectly straight. So, I mean, this A2 tool steel, it's no joke. It holds up pretty well. It's why it's one of my favorite knife steels. Do some batoning now. I will note this is not much of a batoning knife. It's only a 5-inch blade, but I like to just kind of test things out just in case if you have to use it or this is your only blade.
Hardwood. Not exactly sure what kind of wood this is, but it's going right through it regardless.
Kind of a little more on the dead side here. There's a huge knot and I'm going right through. Here, let's see if I can get through this bad boy here. Flailing on that tip too, but not gonna hurt it. Make sure you guys got the best angle here. Smack this shit. Right through that cedar. Alright, so another thing that the LT Wright forest trail is going to be good at, especially with these pretty nice ergonomic handles and how the edge comes real close to the bottom, is it's going to be a pretty decent feather sticker. Now, I will throw a disclaimer out there. I kind of suck at this, so don't judge the knife on my bad performance here. Cedar. It's generally not too hard to do feathers off the cedar. And the handle, and there's all kinds of knives that you can do feather sticking with, but the handle actually lends itself really well for doing things such as this. There's got a decent little feather pile there. I was going to test out here real quick is 90-degree spine that LT Wright is so famous for, but I'm not going to use it to strike yet. I'm going to use it to actually get some shavings here. It's real fine fluff. Let's go with that. Yeah, you could make some pretty fine fluff if need be. Alright, so something that the LT Wright Forest Trail and all the LT Wrights generally hype themselves to be is a decent fire making knife. And I've tested these out before, and I've even done video on them. So I'm just going to test this out. I got a little fluff pile here, got some sticks. I'm not going to make a real big fire because I don't really feel like it's necessary. I even got some field grass here, which is pretty good fire starter in my area. Basically it's just hay is all it is, but There we go. Feathers in there. And just throw my sticks on there. And it can do it pretty good. Got me a quick little fire going already. Alright, so something else I'm going to do with this knife here is I'm going to just see, I mean, this is supposed to be kind of more of a bushcrafty field knife. I am getting a little light amount of rain here, but I'm going to just test out its notch making capability. I'll make a square notch for starters. I'll just make a regular notch. Break that piece out. Oh, that was almost perfect. As you can see, it's almost a perfect square notch right there. Alright, let's try a different kind of notch here. Not sure what this is called. I think it's just I think it's oak. That's almost perfect right there. Alright, one thing I'm going to finish up with this LT Wright forest trail is I'm going to actually fell a small tree with it. And I guess there's a thing in the bushcraft community that says that you never use a big knife for whatever reason. It has to be a tiny little scanty grind knife with, you know, paper thin and all that dumb shit. And I don't really subscribe onto that thing. Obviously, if I'm going to cut down a frickin' tree, I'm going to get me an axe or a big ass knife like a SE Hungless or a BK9. However, some people like to know if it can do that. And so instead of being a man and going and getting a big ass knife and chopping through this son of a bitch in like 2 hits, I'm going to sit here for 10 fucking minutes with a baton and just chew away at this knife. I guess it's nice to know if you can do it, if you have to. Hell, I could almost cut right through it. Out through it already. I think it's the best angle with it. There we go. So I mean, that didn't take me as long as what I thought, but I mean, fairly decent sized little sapling, I guess. But yeah, you can baton through little trees to fell them with this thing if you have to. So I'm just showing you guys this because I have the LT Wright Genesis full flat grind A2 tool steel. I got the GNS. This one's saber grind 01 tool steel, and obviously throughout the video you guys have been seeing the forest trail, which I don't think is one that gets a lot of attention, but out of all 3 of these, the forest trail is my favorite LT Wright knife. Well, my friends, throughout this video I've been testing out the LT Wright forest trail, and like I've said, I think this is my favorite LT Wright knife, and so I'm not going to go at it with nauseam. I personally would suggest, if you want kind of like a light camp knife, and that's all I'm going to suggest it is. I think it's a light camp knife, possible bushcraft knife, possible hunting knife. I don't think it's some survival knife, and I don't really think it's some military tactical knife. It's not meant to be that. But for a camp knife, this thing is awesome, and I definitely would suggest getting one. The only place I know that you can get them is Knives Ship Free. I think it's a Knives Ship Free exclusive, so I'm not trying to pitch for them, but that's the only place that I know of that you can get this knife, this forest trail. So with all that being said, be prepared, both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.